Okay, so now let's move to the validation. Let's start building our jQuery validation first. So we're gonna be listing out for the click of the submit button. So we do submit dot click. Now we're gonna put a function. Okay, put a colon there. All right, so once the button is clicked, we want to return false. And what this would do is if we come over here, notice the page doesn't send the information via the post because the JavaScript is preventing that. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so we got to get the values for each form input, and we can do that from tagging on from the ID and getting the value. So let's go ahead and create a variable called fname, which will equal jQuery ID fname dot value. Okay. Excuse me. And let's do the same for each of them. So we got last name, got username, then we need one for password and email. Okay, so now that we've got that done, we got to create some more variables that are going to help us in our validation. Okay, so we want to make sure that inputted email is an actual email address. So we can check that. Excuse me. We can check that by doing a regular expression. So okay, so we got our email regular expression. We're going to also need to figure out a way to get this script to return true for the page to process it to the PHP script. So we're going to do create a variable called errors, and we're going to set this to false for now. Okay. All right, so let's start validating. Again, this is a simple member system. You can go ahead and take the validation steps either, even further, make it more scrupulous, but I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible for this tutorial. So we can do if fname is equal to nothing. We're going to set errors to equal true. And then we're going to use jQuery to append after the label for the first name. And then we can just go ahead and do dot after. Let's go ahead and give this a span class of error. Excuse me. And do missing data. Okay. Oops, I completely did that wrong. Okay, so let's save that and go back and refresh the page and see what it does. Okay, so now I just click the submit button. Nothing happened. Make sure. So let's go check. Oh, forgot that. Save it. Okay, so you see it appends after the click. That since this is empty, it's going to append missing data. Now we're going to do that for each one of these, but if you notice, if I keep clicking it, it's going to keep appending it, and I don't want the error to be in black. I want that to be in red also. So let's go back into our script. First, let's handle the CSS. Since we gave this a class of error, we can do something like this. Error color red. Then right here at the top, within our submit click function, we can go ahead and do jQuery class error dot remove. And what this would do, every time, see, instead of being like this, every time if you refresh, you click, CSS change the color red, and then if you click it again, first things first, it will remove this, and then since it through the validation, it shows it's missing, so it appends it. So of course it happens fast enough that you can't see it, but it's preventing, in a nutshell, it's preventing the page to keep appending missing data, missing data, missing data. Okay, so we can go ahead and just copy this right here. And let's go ahead and do the same thing for last name. And do the same thing for username. Okay. Password, we can do the same thing. And let's go ahead and add an extra step for validation purposes. We can do right here, else if password, say, matches username, we can just do password, change this up. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do for the email. All right, now let's make sure the email address is um, a valid one with a regular expression. Remember right here, we saved our regular expression to a variable, so let's do email reg dot test email. So what this is saying, if not email test, if it doesn't match, or if it doesn't return true, then we can go ahead and do email, and the message would be not a valid email address. Okay. All right, so now what if everything checks out in the form and we want to send the form to where it's supposed to go? We can just do this. If errors equals false, return true. Okay. So if it returns true, now we're going to validate with PHP. Now you might say, well, didn't we just validate with jQuery? Well, you want to make sure that if the JavaScript is disabled in a browser, there's still a fallback. So let's go ahead and get started. We can do if is set post submit. Okay. And then let's just go ahead and create variables to get all the information. Nope. Actually, we want that to say fname. Okay. Last name. Username. Password. And email. Okay. All right, so now we're going to also need to connect to our database. So let's go and do it up here. So we can do new MySQL li. Do localhost. Since I'm just using my personal machine, there's no password. Okay. All right. Do or die. Error. Okay. So that let's go ahead and check to make sure that all these are filled in. Actually, let's go ahead and do something like this real quick. We're going to need to figure out if the username is already in use. We got to figure out if the password's already in use. Not the password, but the email. But I think we can just go ahead and get away with checking for a username. So let's do this. User check equals DB query select everything from members where username equals username. Okay, so we'll get back to that in a little bit. We can go ahead and let's do no. Block that off. Do username check. Okay. All right. So let's start validating the form. So if empty fname or empty last name or empty username or empty password or empty email. So if those are empty, so what this is going to do, if any one of these are empty, it's going to check them all. So yet again, like we did earlier, we do if empty fname, we're going to go errors, which is going to be an array. And then we're going to say missing first name. Now with the PHP validation, we want to be more concise for our error message, because with a jQuery, it was just going to append it right next to it. So we didn't have to say missing first name next to first name. We can just put missing data. You know, we can get away with that. But what the PHP thing is, we're going to loop the array and print out what's missing. So we got to be a little bit more concise with it. So go do missing if empty L name okay. Do the same thing for username. And let's do, we need password and email, so we can do if okay. Oh, this is tedious. Okay, so all right, so now we're done checking to make sure that all the fields are filled out, but we're not done for our validation. We do else if uh, let's validate, make sure it's a true email address. So you can do something simple like filter var email and do filter validate email. Let me go ahead and do yet again errors. Okay. Let's see here. If you gotta do a match of the password and username, so do if do username and password can't match. Okay. Do else if actually, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and do this. Copy this. Delete that. Let's see if we can go. If actually, you know what? No. We'll do it. Well, I guess we can do this and keep it up here. So we just do else if user check rows equals or does not or is greater than 0. Do errors username is already in use. Okay. So I think that would do for validation. Go ahead and stop it here for now. Next part, we'll go ahead and submit everything to the database and start working on the login mechanism and the profile page. Okay, so thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and subscribe now. Click the like button if you found this at all helpful. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll try to get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.